Hey everyone, welcome to Jojo's World.
Good morning. 'Tis the season of our empire.
This should be our last episode of the year.
Yeah. And then, when the next year comes out, there'll be no more empire.
It's a new year for us and a new year for the characters of the show we're watching. Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Season 2.
We had a long chat.
We had a short chat.
A long chat.
We had a short last-minute chat.
In terms of our modern attention spans, it was a long chat.
I'm Liam S. Smith, one of your co-hosts.
And I'm Valentine, the other one of the co-hosts.
This is our JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recap and discussion podcast, where we are once again delving into the grand scope space opera of Legend of the Galactic Heroes instead of anything else. And apparently, we both independently got a lot of people encouraging us to watch Gundam Witch, and then we didn't. I put it to Nick this morning. Do you want to say a short season of Gundam Witch, or maybe Durarararara before we go back to Legend of Galactic Heroes? And he said no.
I put my fist on the table with my eyes on the prize, and I went, Liam, do I look like a man who can't handle controlling the universe? Wait, is it owning the universe? I don't know. Something to do with the universe. And then he looked in my eyes.
Winning the universe.
Yeah. I can win the universe with my boy Lowengram, because I'm very invested right now. After the cliffhanger of last episode, I was like,
It wasn't exactly a cliffhanger.
but I gotta know more. I gotta know what happens next.
So, I received correspondence from Chowaxt, or Chow-AXT potentially, on Blue Sky, saying, Nick mentioned at the end of last episode of JoJo's World, my handle, oneface.bsky.social.
Sure.
I think it'll be very funny for you to watch the first season of G-Witch, 12 episodes, in between your season 1 and 2 of Legend of Galactic Heroes. Plus, you can watch it on YouTube, both dub and sub officially.
Ooh.
And so, yes, as I said, I put that to Nick and he denied it. But I'm also just learning that apparently people were talking to us on the Patreon about the same thing.
Yeah, so I got... Ooh, let me get the name. I got Strike 3 sending us messages like, so Witch from Mercury is like 24, 25 episodes, but there's a mid-season break around episode 12.
I was aware of that.
But there are other Gundam OVAs, they're much shorter, but like this one's like an hour long, and I was like, okay, yeah. But do any of them let me win the universe?
Well, one of them lets you windmill the universe, as we know.
That's true, that's
The
true.
Gundam that turns into a windmill.
So, from what I understand of that one, that's just a guy from somewhere...
From like the Netherlands.
that's
or
known for
whatever.
its windmills.
Yeah.
That is showing off the fact it's from the Netherlands by having a windmill
So,
on its Gundam.
I haven't seen this show, but I've read about the concept a couple of times. And as I understand it, it's a world where instead of doing war, the nations solve
Every problem.
disputes and, achieve diplomatic dominance through an organized series of
Tournaments?
sort of a Hunger Games for giant robots.
Right, okay.
And you enter a Gundam-themed, roughly after the nature of your nation. So I think, like, England might have, like, a knight Gundam that rides a horse Gundam or something like that. And the Netherlands, or whoever it was, has one whose power is, I guess, disguising itself as a windmill.
If it became plot relevant, I'd be like, well done. Good work. Very impressive.
I mean, it figures into the plot. It's in the show.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, from an aesthetic point of view, it's like, oh, they're from the Netherlands, of course. God, if it's not the Netherlands, I'm going to be very, very humiliated.
It's somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere in, like, the Northern Europe.
One of them blackface countries.
Oh, Jesus.
Apologies to our maybe one Dutch listener.
They're like, it's not blackface. Where the fuck was I going with any of
Australia can't really throw stones when it comes to black and or red faces.
Yeah, true. We are, if anything,
Hey,
probably...
it's Saturday, etc.
Oh, we are probably one of the worst nations at being all like, no, we're not racist. Just ignore the bits.
Just ignore the things that we do and the policies we have.
Yeah, just don't think about, every denial of rights for, or just, don't worry about it.
Anyway, it's not what this podcast is about.
No, this podcast is about big intergalactic warfare.
And refusing to respond to our listeners' requests. You don't hold us to ransom, even though we requested your input.
Thank you to our patrons for providing dollars. I know. I was thinking, like, Gundam Witch seems like a really fun fucking series, though. So I'm gonna have to think on it for the next...
I mean, all we know about it is it's approximately the plot structure of Utena, but with giant robots.
Yeah, which is Utena's still fresh enough in my brain that I'm like, oh, if it's the same as Utena in terms of plot.
I mean, let's be real. In terms of the non-JoJo's shows we've covered on this podcast, the top two, it's an easy win, easy home runs for Utena and LOTGH.
I was going to say, it's an easy win for Utena just because every time we watched it, we're like, what the fuck? Yeah. And I mean, Legend of Galactic Heroes just has a certain Star Wars nequa, you know? Like a je ne sais quoi, but Star Wars.
Yeah, I could...
Because it's like it's basically, it's not Star Wars, but it is Star Wars.
It's not Star Wars, and it's like, what if Star Wars fought Warhammer? But it was mostly meetings.
And both of them lost.
Yeah.
And then they're like, what if we made it the least exciting presentation,
but the most exciting drama?
Yeah. What if one of them
Here is my pledge to you listeners. Tomorrow, I'm going to Bunnings, and I'm replacing Nick's chair that keeps creaking.
This is your pledge?
I've been meaning to do this for like a month now.
Surely we could just buy better chairs.
Things kept coming up. I got COVID, blah, blah, blah.
It's true. You very much got COVID. I think when I messaged you when you had COVID, you were like, guys, I literally cannot move. I am dehydrated as fuck.
I spent a week watching Interior Chinatown, very good, and holding an ice pack to my head because I thought my brain was swelling up.
No, your brain was swelling because you literally were like, guys,
I was feverish.
I can feel everything. Or something like that, I can't remember. But you were literally going to die within the next, hour every day.
And then I did. Ooh.
Oh, this explains why
I'm the ghost of podcasters past. Nick, never replace me. It'll only go badly for you.
Wait, but your podcast is past, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so you can't show me the
future. Live in the past, Nick. It's all downhill from there.
If I get a Ghost of Podcasters future, will they be like, what happens if you get rid of Liam from the podcast? Woo? And then it's that
people
one
holding hands.
Everyone holding hands singing. It's like, man, I don't want that to happen because I hate
you can
singing.
Send us a Ghost of Podcasters present by signing up for our Patreon. Patreon.com/Jojo as well.
Absolutely never going to happen. If anyone comes up to me on the street and is all like, do you want a Ghost of Podcast? I'll be like, stop what you're about to say.
You'll fry them with your Ghostbusters energy beam.
Yeah, I'll fry them with my Ghostbusters of Podcast Past ray gun.
Do you have COVID? I mean, I couldn't remember the name of the word proton pack, but at least my sentence was complete.
Wait, Ghost of Podcasters Past ray gun is a sentence noun, right? It's a thing. Let me take you through the joke.
Like aphasia or something.
I would never have
Ghost
anything
of Podcasters Past ray gun is a noun.
Yeah, it's a noun.
Did you hear that ray gun of Olympics fame?
Yeah.
Has issued a cease and desist through her lawyers to the comedian that was trying to do Ray Gun the musical.
Oh.
Poor form, Ray Gun.
Poor form, Ray Gun. Get on board with it. Even, what was the other thing that got a mute?
Shane Warne the musical.
Yeah, Shane Warne was like, I thought it was pretty funny. Come on, Ray Gun.
Come on, Ray Gun.
Come on, Ray Gun. Shoot one last time for Australia.
Alright. Okay. Legend of the Galactic Heroes, episode 27, The First Battle, and 28, Portraits. Pretty good.
Yeah. Look, we're hitting the season 2 strong.
Yeah, we got a new OP.
I thought it was
Nick
almost
thought
identical.
Both of the songs were the same, but they are definitely not.
They are definitely... No, I thought they had the same lyrics. Because every time
Because they were similar but different.
Yeah, because every time she started singing, I was like, didn't she just say this in the last opening? Wasn't that it?
The new OP starts with some very Fallout-style words appearing on the screen in German. In every age, in every place, the deeds of men remain the same. It's very sort of war never changes, right?
But longer because it's German.
It's very sort of in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, the deeds of men remain the same.
Yeah. If anyone from Germany messages us being like, Nick's saying a lot of shit about Europe and Germany and how their words are long, I'll be like, yes.
Oh, like that, I recently saw a picture of a German children's book, which had the German word for...
hospital?
No, for fire truck. Which I'm not going to recount because it had more letters in it than are in the entire English alphabet.
Oh, we love German, though. We love German because every time you're like, oh, so there's a very specific word for a very specific thing that only really applies in one very specific situation that's happened precisely once in history. But we have a word for it. You're like, oh, what's the word? It's 87 letters long. It has
Flugen Harfenspielen, Skooken, Gooby Doin,
Schwalzer. And it has
Mr. Beanen.
17 umlauts in it for no reason.
Nick, the new OP, I Am Waiting for You, it's alright. We have imagery of
The Sylph.
the Sylph, aka Marquis Gruenwald. No,
Try again.
what was her name? You've just infected me with calling her the Sylph.
Look, I do not remember her name. I only
Reinhardt's
remember.
sister.
Yeah, Reinhardt's sister, who's doing some embroidery?
Yeah, she's doing embroidery with an embroidery hoop, and then there's shots of other more important characters in the background as she thinks of them while embroidering. And I just want to call attention to the shot of Reinhardt that briefly appears.
Yeah.
Where he's like on a battlefield, there's ships moving in the background, and he does like a classic like leadership yelling pose.
Yep.
Where you raise your right hand perpendicular across your body and then swoosh it horizontally while yelling as a bit. It's such a Megatron coded gesture.
It's like the
kill the Autobots.
and
Swoosh.
it's like you have the begone motion, but then you point at the end of it to be like, begone that away, you fucking punks.
Be gone, thought.
Begone, Megathots.
And then we see all the other commanders we're used to seeing.
Yeah, all of them are like in the background in kind of like a widescreen background as she's on a 4x3 foreground, taking up the whole screen. But then they're in the background, not quite taking up the whole screen. But you get the vibe that they're in like this heroic battle, like everything's up for victory for the Empire, and they're really trying.
And the last shot is fading into the foreground of the OP as the focus shifts and she fades into blurriness. The childhood photo of her and Lowengram and Kierkeis.
Too soon.
Strong, what would Kierkeis do energy throughout these two episodes. You know, like, oh, he's gone now. How would he counsel me? Oh, so pure. Can I remain pure while being the leader of space fascism?
Nope. Absolutely not. Even in the second episode, absolutely not.
It is Universal Century Year 796 and Imperial Year 487. We're approximately 1 year on from the previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
And the first episode, we cut between Reinhardt consolidating his power and also Julian and Dusty Attenborough and Oliver Poplin and the other pilot whose name escapes me, the blonde one.
Who's really cool.
Yep. They are in Dusty's fleet, patrolling the space near Isolone, doing training exercises for new pilots, including Julian. When they encounter an Imperial fleet and are stuck in a battle, and will they survive before reinforcements arrive?
It's impossible to tell. We get a big recap at the start that's pointless.
The narrator tells us, I mean, it's pointless to us.
Yeah,
because
pointless
it
to
hasn't
us,
been, 6 months since the last episode aired or
and
whatever.
definitely pointless to you. Wait, can you go back a bit? Why is this 478 or 498? If we just said it was 497. Oh, because it's been a year.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So the year that it is right now is 498.
This isn't important.
It's important to me.
798, 489. January in both.
Wait, both have January.
I'm surprised, I mean, this might not be true, but I'm surprised that Rudolph didn't add himself a new month, like the Roman emperors of old.
We never had like a Caesar month, though, did we?
My God. Caesar month? All salads half off. No, July and August were both
Roman emperors.
Exercises of vanity by Roman emperors to add a month in their own name to the calendar.
Do they have 31 days? 30 days has a different name.
Yeah, we're both doing the rhyme in our heads.
They have 31.
Yep.
Very vain. Big vain. Ooh. The biggest months are named after the Roman emperors. Okay. Huh. I never would have thought that you could just rename a month, but now that you bring it up...
I don't think they renamed it. I think they added it.
But how does that make sense? Like, wasn't the whole point of the Roman calendar that it's like, yep, it just works? Oh no, maybe it's a different calendar. Okay, sure. Romans just were like, you know what, fuck it. Add it in. And then just added it in.
Yeah, I guess.
What a bunch of arseholes. Alright.
And I'm sure it saw some revisions, when we figured out, like, Galileo shit. But
then we were like, add in the other gods.
Keep the names.
Yeah. Interesting.
Add in the other gods, like November.
Yeah.
Scorpio.
And like, Jupiter was probably June, probably.
You're just making shit up.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Look.
Wild speculation, the podcast. Where do you think money comes from? Is it called money because you want mon of it?
Back in Ireland, right, they had a bunch of, like, potatoes that you would mun into alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
make
yeah,
it. We can decide that things are things.
Yeah, exactly. What doesn't matter is that we're right or wrong. What matters is that we have a say on it.
The Zodiac was invented by the King of England when he decided he wanted a bunch of animals to fight each other in a tournament.
In 1997.
And the winners would be immortalized and applied to people.
Yeah, and this is what the
This
Zodiac
was the Queen
Code...
of England in 1997.
Yeah, and this is what the Zodiac Code was all about.
Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
Who was, of course, George W. Bush.
I was going to say Prince Charles, but okay.
Yeah, you know. Facts and history. We got him.
Look, we know two things on this podcast.
Dusty's ship, the battleship Triglav, has encountered more than 1,000 enemy ships, and they're going to make contact in 50 minutes. Oh no. Time for Dusty to spend the whole episode doing his signature maneuver, apparently, of staying just outside their range, enough to keep them cautious,
Oh, he did do
but
that
not enough
last
to fully
time.
disengage.
Oh my god, of course. I completely forgot that's exactly what he did last time, but okay.
And he's supported on his command ship by his adjutant Rao, who was kind of a poor man's Murai.
He does look like a sweatier, less slimy Oberstein, I do need to say.
Sure.
He's got the vibes of a guy who's like, I am the Senate, but also like much more like shit hair and like the bowl cut kind of vibe.
Yeah, he's got a flagel bowl cut, so we immediately distrust him.
Yeah. I don't like him.
Poplan gives the new recruits, including Julian Minchie, our boy,
Julian.
Yang's ward,
Uh-huh.
a stirring speech being like, now at this point, it's needless to say that I'm a genius at battles in space. But there are no geniuses like me in the Imperial Fleet, because delinquents can't find jobs in the Empire.
Man, what a
It's a
statement.
funny little self-own.
Yeah.
He's like, anyway, get out there and beat them up. And then all the recruits are inspired and run to their ships, and he immediately turns to his mate, the one whose name I can't remember, Kaplan or something like that.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my god, we're fucked. Reinhardt's guys are going to tear us to shreds out there.
There's so many of them.
And
They're
really-
fully trained.
And Julian can hear the whole thing.
So Julian immediately is, tipped off
Yeah,
to...
he's like, oh, I'm going to die in space today.
Yep. And spoiler warning, he almost does.
Meanwhile, Reinhardt is setting about the business of governing. He's got a big new white cape with big square epaulets, and he's deciding on taxation policy and government reform and taking power from the nobles, seizing their assets, allowing the farmers to start a credit union.
Now, after that little recap, why the fuck are we watching this show again?
It was your choice, Nick.
Love seizing tax
It's a
assets from the
show
nobility.
about meetings.
We love to hear about strengthening economic power of the empire by seizing assets from nobles.
And he's been negotiating with Eugen Richter and Karl Black, who are two reformers within the noble unit, noble caste.
Yeah, they're barely nobles.
They are nobles.
Yeah,
But they are in favour of these sort of government reforms. They are the people like, I guess they're like Lenin, who are like, yes, I was born into wealth, but that doesn't mean, or was it Marx? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Nothing matters.
Listen, it's all Russian.
Yeah. I mean, taking the Nick Ballantyne school of approach to history, I can just say, yeah, Lenin was born in the United States, but then he moved to Russia and was like, oh, didn't he say,
Something about...
I don't like how much they're suffering from lack of vodka.
That does sound like something Lenin would say, though. To be fair, it does sound like...
Anyway,
Yeah.
so they get back into their car and like, yeah, Lohengram's a genius at popularity. Look at all these commoners and how happy they are where he's liberated private lands and established democratic constitutions and reformed the tax laws. Hooray!
And then I think someone says, yeah, but none of them are serving in government. It's
Yeah,
still...
he says, people still aren't running their own government. Could this reformation be real? And the other guy says, well, it's progress, right?
Look, anything's good at this point. Especially when you've got a fucking 20-something-year-old kid literally ruling over the whole empire right now. Like, as the de facto leader until the Kaiser comes of age.
Back in the office, he talks with Hildegard von Mariendorf about how they've got no financial problems because they just seized all the hoarded wealth of the nobles that they just defeated.
Clean sweep.
Easy peasy.
Nothing wrong can come of this.
And he's got a meeting coming up with Strite, who was a commodore that served under...
Someone.
You can do it, Nick.
Not under the Kaiser.
No.
Under Mercat?
No. I mean, yes, but
under the guy that we killed. I know his
Whose
fucking name.
is, and he looks like which
not-
Super Mario
Yeah,
character?
yeah. He looks like Wario. Yeah. But it's
He
not.
doesn't really. That's what.
But the problem is,
him.
Lippenstat's the other one, right? But then
Look, I just can't remember that guy's name.
Braunschweig?
But you did it.
Oh my god.
You did it.
There's so many fuckers' names. This is why we couldn't take a break, because it'd be like, that guy, Brunoville,
Julian gets out there into the space battle, and he has a Assassin's Creed Void-style memory of a discussion with Yang, where he says, "Admiral, is it true that everyone has a premonition of their own death?"
And Yang scratches his head as he's sitting on a bench or something, or on a table.
Like, Julian, can you rely on someone who's never died and yet speaks importantly about death? End of flashback.
Can you trust a man who... Can you trust a man who speaks importantly about history, yet is not 1,000 years old?
Now, you just said that Yang was on a bench, and you're probably thinking of this next scene, because we cut to Eyes
Oh,
Alone.
I absolutely am. Yang is literally on a bench.
He's on a bench, snoozing in the park in the depths of...
Eyes Alone Fortress.
Yeah.
The greatest, Sorry, there is a bit in the recap where they say, Yang managed to penetrate the impregnable fortress.
He pregged it right up.
Oh, so pregged.
And you can still get pregnant from being
Go on.
impregnated, militarily speaking.
Uh-huh. What?
You know.
We're going to have to pregnate the battleship. But sir, we can't pregnate a battleship.
It's impregnable. It can't be pregnated.
Son, when I had my first battleship child, everyone thought it was impregnable. But I proved them wrong. And now, this. And just like it's a little mini battleship. Like a little...
You inadvertently said, when I had my first battleship child,
Yeah.
everyone said it was impregnable.
Yeah.
And now you're gesticulating to indicate that the battleship child
Yeah. Is inside the current battleship because it's a small
was
battleship.
pregnated itself.
Yeah. Because we pregnant.
Guys, I'm sorry. For everything.
For literally every piece of time that we've wasted.
Every piece of time. And if only there was a word for that.
I don't think there is.
It's hot in the studio.
It has been, I think, above 35 degrees every single day.
Summer heat wave.
For the last week.
Look, okay. Frederica informs Yang of the situation.
She comes running down.
Yeah. Everyone is obviously very concerned about Julian all episode because they all love him. They don't care about all the other ships on the training exercise. They just care about Julian surviving.
Hundreds of people are dying, but where's Julian?
It's what Poplin cares about. It's what Dusty cares about. It's obviously what Yang cares about.
It's what Julian cares about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they,
Get a prize.
they have a quick meeting.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, shit's going down.
Should we dispatch reinforcements?
Yang immediately is like, I sent Julian over there so he would be safe, but turns out he's not safe.
They ask Merkatz, the guy who defected from the Empire last episode, what they should do as their guest admiral, and he's like, oh yeah, we should strike hard and fast. And they say, sounds good to me.
And so they do.
Yep. And that's kind of Yang's role in this episode.
Yep.
Then we get a few cuts of Julian dogfighting. He gets his first kill, and basically his role in the episode is having little micro dogfight adventures, and then Poplin will pull up alongside him and say, "Hey, you're doing pretty good, kid." Like a Star Fox character.
Now,
Hey, I'm on your side here.
Who's the Imperial Admiral that's currently there?
I don't know. He's not important. His name is Rear Admiral Ihendorf.
So Ihendorf, I think, is like...
He looks a bit like Chuck Norris.
Or Troy Baker.
I don't know what he looks like, actually. I just think of Revolver Ocelot when I see him.
That's what he looks like, yeah.
But old Revolver Ocelot from MGS5.
From 5?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I guess he's not that old. Is that not Troy Baker?
Not in 5.
Who's that?
Oh, wait, sorry, no. In 5, yes, but not old Revolver Ocelot.
Sorry, yeah. Mid-age Revolver Ocelot.
Yeah. You're thinking... Or I'm thinking of 4 Ocelot, who's
And
just
I'm
all
not.
Yeah.
Great, we all know what we're thinking of.
Okay, we're all on the not same page.
Thought bubble in my head, Revolver Ocelot.
Revolver Ocelot?
Yep.
So Chuck Norris is all like, man, for a bunch of trained operatives, they all seem to be awfully clumsy.
We could destroy them in a moment, but that Yang Wen Li is so cunning, we better hold off.
What's he up to? I think both of us were just like, he's looking at it going, everyone could just be murdered right now. but we don't know if Yang Wenli's behind it. And he immediately goes, damn that Yang Wenli.
Yeah. And then we cut to Dusty's ship, and it's like, oh, they haven't attacked as hard as we expected. They're afraid. It's because the Yang fleet is famous. Phew.
They're just going off of vibes at this point.
So they decide to try and hold out till reinforcements arrive.
What if every episode involving them is now going to be them going, okay,
the Yang fleet.
It's like a bunch of ragtag idiots that they're like, they seem to be doing everything wrong, but that Yang Wenli, he's up to something.
Yang the magician, he's probably trying to pull the wool over our eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe some sort of long string of handkerchiefs outside of his sleeves.
Yeah, so they never attack, but then they always get reinforcements and then go, that damn Yang Wenli, he played us like a damn fiddle. Once again, he's outwitted us. It's like, could just attack, but no.
You know who would just attack?
Wario.
I was actually going to refer to the text of the show and say, Mittermeier, the Gale Wolf, known for his swift engagements.
True. That beautiful man. Such a good guy.
We got more coming on Mittermeier and Ruenthal in episode 2. Look forward to that.
Oh, man. So they send literally the whole fleet as reinforcements.
Yeah.
They're like, mobilize everyone, we're saving Yulian.
I mean, that's the end of the episode, but...
Is it?
That's what happens at the end of the episode. You're skipping way ahead, I mean. Reinhardt just basically spends the episode talking to a couple of nobles.
Yeah, I think at one point Streit shows up. Like, everyone...
Arthur von Streit is recruited as a subordinate member of the HQ because he wants some of his seized assets back because he's super poor now. And so Reinhardt is like, yeah, I'll have a bit, but you have to work for me now.
And he's all like, absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm 100% on board because you gave me some money, please.
And there's like a couple others that same sort of deal. It's like, you seem like a pretty smart guy. Come work for me.
But then there's that one guy. He's like, and I will pull up. No, hang on. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
One guy fucks up big time.
That's Streit.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Oh, you'll see.
Because they just concluded the meeting with Streit in this scene that I've just skimmed past.
That's not Streit.
Yes, it is.
Then who am I thinking
You're thinking of the other guy that I just said we'll get to when we get to.
But that had to be
I need you to trust me.
Are you telling me I watched that whole scene thinking he was Streit?
Yeah, because you would have misread the label.
Shit. I thought at the end they were talking in third person.
You dumb motherfucker. Maybe we need to do an easier show for you.
Never.
Something like Barkano, where it's really unclear when things are happening and who everyone is.
Just get me a show where before every scene, they logically recap every character's name and role.
That's this show. The subtitles are labeling them all every time they come on screen.
But only when it's the first time. They need every time for me. And then every time they show up, it needs to be it's like that joke where it's like, if you can't follow along, this is what you need. And it's like...
I don't know what that is.
It's like, you remember how previously to this, I did this thing, that was this thing, that was this thing. And it means this for our thing. It's like, yes, I remember that. And I also remember that I talked to this person about this thing, which relates to this. And they go, what was that? It's like, no need to worry about that. I was just talking to myself.
Sure.
Have you not seen...
That sounds like a police academy bit.
God, it might be.
Okay. Yulian has another little micro-fleet adventure.
So there's only one significant bit, I think, where...
There was one really cool bit.
Yeah.
We get a bit of exposition to explain what's about to happen, where the guys in Yang's office, sorry, on his ship, you know the office room on the ship.
Yeah.
Looks out where you drive it.
Yeah. What?
They're in the bridge.
They're in the bridge, and they're all like, well, Yang is musing. There's like, back in the day, war was very different.
And yet it never changes.
The deeds of men always remain the same. But now we can't use...
We get some actual exposition.
Yeah, it's like we can't use radar or anything like that.
Near the end of the 20th century, electronic weapons were rapidly developed. It was the age of the so-called push-button wars. Because you could push a button and have a war.
Yeah, and it would end the entire opposition, probably.
However, with the development of electronic wave absorption, searching for the enemy returned to how it was before. Which is for the best, because once hostilities commence, it's a terrible thing. And Shenkop says, in land battles, we still use pigeons and dogs.
Which blows my mind, because it seems like these ships should be able to, like, do crazy shit.
Because all the ships are just absorbing each other's electronic light rays.
Exactly. So you could just have, like, a ship over there, no clue where they are.
Unless you look out the window and see the ship.
Just wild to me. So yeah, it's like the dark ages of like military tech again because everyone's jamming all the useful tech.
Yeah. So that's, I think, a big part of the drama in this ep, from Dusty's perspective, is their radar, the space radar, and communications are being jammed, so they don't know how far away Yang's fleet coming to reinforce them is.
Yeah.
And so we'll get to it, but there's a moment where they finally detect the incoming fleet and everyone starts cheering because they couldn't pick them up until they were right there, essentially.
Yep.
Yulian's returned to
The hangar?
the cafeteria, and he gets onto a little in-ship roller coaster. Am I wrong?
It's a shuttle cart? A
It's
golf
like at an
cart?
airport, a little
It's like a little airport bus.
buggy.
Yeah, a
and,
golf cart for military people.
Basically, Poplin says to him, "Hey, Yulian, don't go dying out there until you've fucked." Am I wrong?
No,
Am
you're
I
not,
wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. But he does also then get chastised by his friend.
Nah, yeah, the other one.
Yeah, fucking
Kaplan.
capital
Cooper
blonde.
Trooper.
You know, yeah. Fucking Cooper Trooper over here is all like, oh, how crass. Don't do that.
And he says, well, what should I tell him to do? Just stay inside and play crossword puzzles like you, these guys. They've got a good dynamic.
Yeah, there's no response.
So Yulian goes out into space again, and through circumstances, he ends up right next to an enemy cruiser. And he basically has to do, you know, in The Empire Strikes Back, when the Millennium Falcon needs to hide from the Star Destroyer?
And it hides on that asteroid?
Well, first it hides on the back of the Star Destroyer.
Hides on the back. Oh, yeah.
It clamps itself to it and waits till they release trash and then flies away in the trash.
I think I remember, yes?
He basically does that.
Okay.
Where he he puts his little ship right up next to their big ship and also right in front of its little sensor turret.
And he's like,
and it sends out a little sensor beam, boop, 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 scanning, and he's holding his breath. Oh my god, is this big ship gonna shoot me up and kill me right now? Very tense.
Yep.
Lots of close-ups on his face and his cockpit helmet being like...
But no, it goes back into its little socket.
Yep. And then, because other ships are coming, a hatch opens and a couple of big missiles come out, and Yulian's like, well, that's a freebie. Flies past the missiles, shoots his little raking lasers, blows up the missiles while they're still attached to the ship, blows up the whole cruiser. Bingo bango. Yulian gets himself a little win.
Damn, on his first battle as well.
Yeah.
Woo!
And then he spends the rest of the episode trying to desperately make it back to his allied ships while all these TIE fighters basically are like, oi, let's get him. Yeah, he killed my mothership.
And then everyone's like, hey, Yulian, you're doing really well out here.
And they're closing in on him, he's gonna die, oh no. Then once again, Poplin swoops in and is like, those idiots were so focused on chasing you that they didn't even pay any attention to their flanks.
They couldn't get the pursuit.
I'm a genius at dogfighting.
And then his friend is like, I've actually killed more guys here than you.
Yeah, there's like, what was it? They're flying alongside each other and their faces are sort of cartoonishly superimposed in the corners of the screen, like...
in real anime
hey,
style.
I've got 22 kills. How many do you?
27.
23.
Legolas and Gimli.
Makes a little peeved face. Yeah, it's Legolas and Gimli.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff.
We love Gimli.
Do we?
We love him more than Legolas.
Well, yeah, but like... Do we love Gimli?
We like Gimli as a friend.
We do like Gimli.
We bear a deep familial bond of love with Gimli, the type that only brothers in arms united in a pure cause can have.
Pure?
Sure, gotta destroy that ring.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, alright, I can get on board.
Hate the orcs.
So hateful in their ways, but so good in medieval strategy battle games.
Tell me more, don't.
I think my brain's shutting down. So Yulian goes through all these little dogfights, all these little, adventures. He even manages to get off of a ship right as it is about to explode.
Yeah, so there's a pretty kind of a sad moment where he's landed to refuel and take stock of the situation again after that little adventure, and then that ship is going to get blown up. So he's running back to his fighter because they've been given the order to scramble all ships. And the guy who's the old man who's fueling him up is like, I could only give you 20% for fuel because there wasn't enough time. Make sure you survive, boy.
And Yulian's face is like, what? And then the whole hatch closes.
Takes off, the whole ship explodes. Yulian flies out through the blinding light explosion and screams, and that man just died.
Yep. He kills someone in revenge, but he still can't remove
He's
the
so
pain.
sad because of war.
Yeah, it turns
Now he
out.
knows what Yang's like.
Yeah, and he's just like, I hate everything. And then he goes back to normal. Meanwhile,
Meanwhile, Adrian Rubinsky of the Fazan Dominion. Big eyebrows, bald head, turtleneck.
beautiful. So many lovers.
Hey, look, he's got like 2 scenes in these 2 episodes, and basically what he and his consultant friend, Player 2 Oberstein,
Yep.
basically exposit is that the Fazan time of neutrality is over because the balance of power in the Empire after the Civil Wars in the galaxy after the Civil Wars has shifted sufficiently that the Fazan's power has grown, the Alliance has weakened, and the Empire has grown. So it's time for the Fazan to stop being neutral, ally with the Empire, and together take over the whole universe and create the new Reich.
Ah, I've never heard of any time in history that we've made a new Reich spelled N-E-U Reich.
Yeah.
So,
Look, you know,
it'll go well. It'll go great for them, I'm sure.
bold stance here on JoJo's World.
Yeah.
Not a favour of Reichs in general.
I mean, so what I love is that,
I know my Reich from my wrong.
what I love is that one of the most famous composers of, I think, the 80s and 90s, Samuel Reich.
Ah. Oh, you mean the guy from Game Changer?
Oh, shit. Wait, who am I thinking of? Oh, fuck, hang on, wait, no. Hang on, I gotta look this up. The guy who was like a minimalist composer.
They could have the same name. I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's his son. Who knows? But we do know that Sam Reich's dad worked for the Reagan administration, or the Reagan
I
or
don't know.
Clinton
Don't
administration.
look at me like you're
It's a
not
whole
there.
plot point, and then they're like, "Here's a photo of my dad naked as a child," and they're like, "Oh, okay."
Nick, you're getting sidetracked.
Anyway, some Reich-ass motherfucker is a composer. I'm pretty sure everyone is just like, Steve Reich, that's his name.
Steve Reich.
I'm pretty sure everyone that sees that name immediately goes,
Reich.
ooh, am I allowed to like this guy?
I learnt a thing or two. Sidebar, these 2 episodes. First one is mostly Mahler. Second, we've got some Wagner in there and some Mozart.
Oh, you'll love a good bit of Mahler.
But I was having a drink with someone recently who knows a fair bit about opera.
Oh, okay.
And she was telling me that, you know how we've talked about how so much of opera and operatic composition is repetitive?
Yes.
She was telling me that, or she blames Wagner for the state of modern opera-going convention. Because, you know, part of the reason they were so repetitive is because the earlier social expectation, apparently, is that, you know, you would go to these, but it would be a social event. You know, you'd be sitting there in the seat, but you'd be talking to people either side of you. So it's a bit repetitive because you tune in and out.
Right.
However, Wagner, the egotist, was like, my works must be viewed in proper silence and respect for the compositions.
I see. So everyone else was like, we're here busking, basically. And you come, you have a drink.
Not busking.
But like, you know, everyone's here. They're all having a good time. They're just chatting.
Yeah.
But they're not like...
I'm going up to the Marquis box to have a conversation about taxation policy while we're watching The Ring Cycle.
Yeah, so it's not like how we know it now, where it's like you sit down, you shut the fuck up, and you watch this opera and be like, wow, listen to the power of music. Can I just ask my friend? It's like, no, you shut up.
I saw an opera a couple of months ago, Orpheus, which was done by WA Opera. I'm not a big opera guy. First, like, formal, proper opera I've been to. And that was only 70, 80 minutes. But even in the last...
That's really short for an opera.
Yeah, even in the last 15 minutes or so, I was like, okay, we can wrap it up.
You're just like, just turn around, get it over with, come on.
Because it's very repetitive.
Was it?
And this one even had circus elements to keep us occupied.
Wait, what? Hang on, go back. What do you mean circus
It had
elements?
like acrobatics in it.
Was this the WA ballet one?
No, it was WA Opera.
Oh, okay.
Because it was an opera.
But circus elements?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. Were the opera singers up there doing their thing? Or
A little
were they
bit,
like...
but mostly it was like the chorus.
Yeah. Oh, that's... Okay, so it's more like a musical now.
Well, it's an opera.
Operas are the OG musical.
I'm always saying it.
Yeah, you... Listen. Hot take from Jojo's World.
Hot take about things I should know more about than I do, like in legitimately. But I'm gonna boldly claim that Gilbert and Sullivan were the bridge from the traditional opera to the modern musical via their operettas.
Gilbert and Sullivan is...
We're not doing this.
Hang on, he's the
Modern Major General.
Yeah, modern Major General guy. Okay.
WA
alright.
Opera's doing that musical next year, actually.
Wait, that comes from a musical? I thought it was
Okay.
a bit. I thought it was a bit. Oh my god. Liam has collapsed onto his bed. He's given up. That's it. We've got him. We killed him. Now the podcast is mine. I've achieved great victory.
I can't allow it. I'm too much of a perfectionist to allow you to have control of the podcast. Don't know if that picked up. I said I can't allow it. Anyway, that was some bullshit we just span. I took a turn at being Nick for once.
And now we see Adrian Rubinsky try to consolidate power. Well, plan to.
And there were a lot
consolidate
of, in that conversation they had about their new geopolitical position, there were a lot of pie charts that Nick was very excited to see.
power. Yeah, not as good as donut charts, but we'll forget that.
Are they functionally the same?
They're exactly the same.
Okay.
Every time anyone's like, donuts are just better than pie charts, I'm like, why? They're the same. They're literally the same. And we get a good shot of Adrian Rubinsky grabbing the new Reich.
He's grabbing the whole pie.
Yeah, he's grabbing the whole pie as if he will lay claim to it.
Yeah. And of course, we'll be pulling the strings of that new Reich, won't we?
Well, they can't say. I'm wiggling my fingers, being
Yeah,
like,
as in like a puppet master.
Yeah.
A little Pinocchio man.
Master of puppets.
The other
pulling
guy,
strings.
Player 2 Oberstein, says, is that a good idea? The intentions of those old holy men. Earth cult alert. And he cuts him off. Advisor, I'm talking about Fazan's policy. Ha 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 ha.
And then he hangs his head in shame. So,
Oh, shit. I didn't pick up on this.
yeah, this is the guy
Yeah,
who's all like, we should do the thing.
Okay, yeah. Rubinsky says, we've got a report from Baltic, our agent in the Empire, and the face of this man, who was meaningless to us at this point, Anton Hilmer von Schaft.
Big moustache.
Big moustache, big eyebrows, bald head. Looks a bit like if Rubinsky put on a disguise.
He looks fucking identical to Rubinsky.
With a huge moustache,
Huge
and
moustache.
slightly bigger eyebrows.
If Rubinsky was like, well, I'm not going to put on a wig, how much other hair can I put on?
Anyway, in the second episode, as we'll learn, this guy, who's clearly working for them or is an asset of theirs via this agent Baltic,
So the plan
hatches a cunning new plan to attack Iserlohn Fortress.
Yeah, because we get a quick image of, I think it's the corridor, the Iserlohn corridor, where it's like Iserlohn, and then there's another one at the bottom that maybe
That's where Fazan is.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they've basically got like the two corridors, one's Fazan that no one's allowed to go through, and then up at the top is Iserlohn. They're looking at that being like, well, our man on the inside can advise on this little problem.
So Baltic is their agent of the Empire, but then they pull up the dossier for von Schaft, who we'll get to next episode. Mm-hmm. By which I mean later this episode.
Within the context of Jojo's world, you'll hear about it.
It's been 7 or 8 hours since the space battle started. All the fighter ships, like Poplin, are out of ammo, so they're starting to get a bit worried.
He can be a genius, but without ammo.
There's only so much he can do. But then, hooray, reinforcements arrive, and everyone on the bridge starts to cheer and dance.
And the narrator is all like, they did it. And the guy on the other side, the Empire guy, is all like,
That's
Yang
too many
Wenli.
ships.
That bastard's
That
done it
magician.
again. He's fucking pulled it out of a hat.
Prestige.
He waited until Act 3. Son of a bitch.
And then everyone reconvenes with Dusty, and Dusty is like, here's your son, Julian, safe and sound. They all laugh.
And like, literally everyone is... I don't know how genuine the laughter is, but they're all like...
It's very end of sitcom episode, corny, like 70s sitcom laugh.
Yeah. And Yang is like, I wasn't joking.
Yang is like frowning and mussing his hair in that way that he does when he thinks about war and what it makes us do.
What does it make him do?
And then there's a big close-up to end the episode on Bagdashu, the skeezy skunk man, just giving a thumbs up at the camera, and I physically recoiled when I saw it.
Listen, he may look like Pepe Le Pew.
And act like him.
And act like him. But he's got legs. Oh, and then the ending is almost exactly the same as the previous one.
And we end on a shot of, it's a lot of Alliance characters superimposed in space against the stars. And we end in a shot of Julian in a spacesuit looking resolute.
Yeah, on the moon?
On a space planet.
Yeah, somewhere. No buildings or anything, just on the moon or something. And then in the Empire, in the next
start of
episode...
the second episode, Portraits. At the Ministry of War, the scene that Nick thought we were having earlier occurs, where Reinhardt is appointing Admiral Oppenheimer to the chief of police position.
Oh,
and he's
no.
like, thank you so much. Look, I've got a present for you. Open, open, open.
Oh, It's ministerial prestige. Or privilege. That's the word I was going for.
No, it's not.
Oh, what is it?
It's a beautiful painting
Oh, look at that, a painting! And then,
by the famous Erlenmeyer.
and Lowengram looks at it and is all like, hey, my adjutant,
Yeah.
go take that to a museum somewhere.
I've got the quote here.
Okay.
I don't know paintings. Send it to Mecklinger, who is the moustache guy in his Admiralty, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
He'll know which museum it should go to.
And then Oppenheimer is all like, but monsieur, but my liege, but my high priest. This painting is not for a museum. It does not belong there. It is for you, of course. To which Lohengrin goes, you know what this means, old man.
He's like, you fucker. I tried to give you one out, but you insisted.
And he's like, why, what do you mean, my god emperor?
I got the quote.
And Lohengrin looks fucking pissed at this
And
point.
it's clearly DVD touch-up Lowengram as well.
Yeah.
Or Laserdisc touch-up, or whatever it was we were talking... Whatever it was we were talking about.
Yeah, the VHS remaster.
Count Oppenheimer. Although you hold the post of Chief of Military Police, you don't seem to understand what this action means in the eyes of the law. And he buzzes his guys outside. Captain Kissling. Captain Gunther Kissling. Detain Admiral Oppenheimer for the crime of attempted bribery. Dun dun dun.
And Oppenheimer's like, no,
I've
you
become
can't.
death, destroyer of my own career.
And that's a wrap on Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Taken out back behind the woodshed and fed to a pack of dogs.
One episode in, no episodes
Let's
out.
flash back to some of our favourite Oppenheimer moments.
I present this painting to you. What? But that can't be right. But my lord.
He actually looks a bit like a guy I know.
He looks like Riker from Next Gen.
He looks like the guy who runs the Western Australian Improv D&D games.
Oh my. Are you talking about every year at Fringe?
And also outside of Fringe.
They do it outside of Fringe? Oh, okay. I never knew. Yeah, he kind of does now that you say it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So then he turns to his guy. He's the guy.
Yeah, his little adjutant, the squeamish
guy
little...
the guy standing where Oberstein would normally stand.
Yeah, or where Kirkeyes would stand.
Yeah. And he says, yes, sir. He says, don't give me yes, sir. You saw that bullshit. Do something about it.
And he's like, of course, I will do so. Yes, what would you have me do?
Hereafter, I will be more strict about personal interviewees, sir. That's not what I'm talking about. Disclose this event to show a bad example to the public. And pick candidates for the next chief of military police. There are a million things that must be done. And he's like, I'll do it at once, sir. Who do you want to be the new chief? Make Kessler do it. But Kessler's really busy. Yeah, but he'll do it.
Did I fucking stutter, young man? I think we both noted that Lohengram's hair is getting longer as well.
Longer. Much
could it
like
mean?
that future Lowengram we've seen. But not quite anywhere near that long. And then he stares down at his Kirkeyes Memorial pocket watch and is like, Kirkeyes, what would you do?
Oh, what's he gonna do when he loses the hair?
Yeah, when it gets blown up by a laser shot from Yang Wen,
Yang Wenli?
saving his own life somehow. And
then-
Yang would be like, damn, that was the closest I've ever come to a kill shot.
He's like, shit, I only had the one bullet. I've been saving it for 17 years.
In case I needed to kill myself at the end of a battle.
fuck.
Fortunately, Yang Wenli never lose a battle.
This is the tortured curse of Yang Wenli.
Yang really does just fail upward in terms of winning battles. Like, he just wants to wash out of the military.
Oh, absolutely. He does too well for his own good. It's not incompetence, it's hyper-competence. That he's like, well...
He can't help but be the best at strategy.
It's like he's gonna accidentally become the new emperor
Yeah.
of the empire. And then be like, well, I guess I'm here now.
Well, I
Can
guess I've won the universe and I can shut down the war now.
And Lohengrin will be like, if you've won the universe, can you at least destroy the nobles? He's like,
But how will I prevent future wars from breaking out?
begins
I
scratching,
guess I have to
tussling his hair.
become a giant worm.
Do the deeds of man excuse oneself from the rigid purviews of society?
Nick, do you think Yang would become a giant worm?
I'd still love him as a worm.
I was going to ask you that next.
What's the fucking
Duncan, Idaho.
No, the Northern Line bit where it's like someone...
Oh, I don't know.
So I think his wife or something was like, would you still love me as a worm? And he's like, fuck no.
I do know that as a common meme, though.
Yeah. And he was just like, why the fuck would I love you as a worm? Why would I love anyone as a worm? You're a worm, alright? I can't talk to you. We can't raise a child if you're a fucking worm.
That's small to me, actually.
Yeah. And they were just like, but you would have to, I'm your wife. It's like, yeah, but fuck off with that shit. It was like the most brutal takedown. And I was like,
Nick, would you still podcast with me if I was a worm?
what do you fucking think? I'm a fucking worm. I'd be all like,
So you're a worm too. Hey everyone, welcome to Jojo's Worm.
you know what, just for that, I think maybe I would. Wait, are we talking like, we're talking like actual, like small gum?
It doesn't matter. Move on.
I was going to say,
Move on, Nick.
if I could be Leto the second, I would be.
And I'll be Duncan, Idaho.
But you would die so frequently.
Yeah, but you can bring me back. You need
is
someone
true.
to podcast with.
That is true. And you would eventually cotton onto the fact that I would kill you every episode.
Yeah, because otherwise who would do the editing?
That's true. At the end, as soon as you finish editing, you're like, wait a second. There's hundreds of other saved files here. But that would mean I need to kill Nick the second.
Yeah, we can make a sort of narrative epistolary podcast out of this concept.
What does that mean?
That's like Dracula, where the whole thing is made up of like primary and secondary sources rather than just narrative.
Oh, like letters and
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay.
I watched this show, I think it was called Archive 13 a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And that was adapted from a podcast. And you could really tell because every scene of note happened like either in a bunker that had security cameras everywhere, or every conversation of note was like via phone, so it could be recorded, or like in the proximity of audio recording equipment.
Sick.
Like it was a decent show.
Yeah.
But once you knew that it was adapted from a podcast, you could really see the seams of how it used to be just like audio tapes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You know, we should do that.
It's like
It's about you killing me repeatedly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, 1000 Year Vampire, the game.
No, but go on.
It's basically
I don't need to know. Go on.
It's a journal
I'm
game.
kidding.
Wait, kidding with me or kidding with yourself?
Well, I just figured it would be bad broadcasting for me to immediately stop you explaining a thing
Yeah.
a listener might not know and might care about.
Yeah. So it's like a journaling game where you take on the role of a 1,000-year-old vampire.
Okay.
Well, you start.
And that's young to me, actually.
Yeah. So you start in the year like 1,000-ish, and you're a vampire, and you go through time.
At a regular rate.
Yeah, and you're like, well, sort of. It's like you basically roll a dice and you say, yeah, this thing has happened to you.
Time to sleep for 400 years.
Yeah, and now you have to write up a journal entry about that thing. So as you're going through, it's like you start off at like 0, and that's just like, I've just become a vampire. What kind of vampire am I? Hey, I'm seeing this weird thing happen with me. Oh, better look out for that. And then you roll a dice, you go X many up the track, and it's like, oh, a friend of yours has
It's
just
basically
seen
like a structured fictional journaling
Exactly.
exercise.
And you're basically journaling, oh, well, I made a new friend. I just got a dog. I did this. And then the further on it goes, it's like, that friend of yours is now trying to kill you. How do you kill them back?
Right.
And it's like you have to do the thing where it's like, this is how I did it. What's the cost at which this happened?
Sure.
And by the end, it's things like, you just massacred a small town. How'd you get away with it? And why did your friend die in the process? And you're like, okay.
And now bring it back around.
So we do that because the multiplayer mode is you send each other letters. But I'm
sure.
But I'm a big
Two-player
worm.
Lettering up, yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you write? With those boxing gloves on.
Well, this is the beauty of my
You're
theory,
a big
right?
worm, I'm strong bad.
Yeah, I literally am like, at the year 0, I'm like, Liam, I'm writing to you because a strange coincidence is occurring. I'm becoming a worm. I don't know how long it will be until I can stop writing these letters. Next thing. Liam, I write to you using my mouth and not my hands.
I'm a big worm now.
My arms have fallen off, right? And it just, by the end of it, is like, because I can't even type, like, oh, that'd be beautiful.
Hey Nick, went to the shops today. Really busy, so I didn't read your last letter.
Really hope you're a big fan of salt. Yeah, you could just do that.
Yeah, we could. We won't, but we could.
We never will.
Quick scene of the narrator introducing us to some more of the new recruits to the Reinhold Admiralty. We've got Ernst von Eisenach. We've got Helmut Lennenkant, who used to be Reinhardt's superior when he was younger, but now is his subordinate.
Yeah, back at the academy.
How the worm has turned.
Ah, the worm has become the
Worm.
worm.
Would you still love the worm if it was a worm?
What kind of worm?
Would you still love the worm if it was a different kind of worm?
No.
Like a much bigger one with psychic powers?
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Okay, so we get some time with our boys.
Mittenmeyer and Ruenthal.
Yeah.
The boys are back in portrait.
They're walking down a hallway and we fade onto each of them in turn and get elaborate flashbacks about their backstory.
So Mittenmeyer gets a long.
Would you
amount
believe
of
me?
time.
It's actually Mittermeier, and we've been saying it wrong this whole time. It is Bittenfeld, the red-haired guy.
Are you telling me that we've been disgracing the legacy
But
of...
we were all of us deceived.
Indeed. If we... Look, Liam, if we continue the deception on ourselves, we did nothing wrong. We can keep saying Mittenmeyer and no one has to know.
The narrator informs us that Mittermeier is from a middle-class family and his father was a landscaper.
I'm pretty sure he's just... The image is him just drinking milk?
There's this recurring image of them gathering in front of the family fireplace.
And he's growing up a
he
happy
wouldn't
young
drink
boy.
milk, Nick. He's not a pervert.
Sorry, he's drinking hot
He's
chocolate.
drinking brandy like a man.
He's a Christmassy, festive guy. So
He's drinking eggnog.
so Mittenmeyer is growing up near this fireplace. He's having a pretty good time in his youth.
In this tight-framed social structure, the best way for a commoner to live is to become an expert. However, what the son aimed for, even if it wasn't different in the meaning of the word expert, was different from what his parents had expected. Mittenmeyer joins the military.
Yeah.
We know this.
And-
It's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, because his dad was something like a gardening engineer or
landscaping
something.
engineer.
Yeah. So he's like, oh, yeah, I'll become a pilot. It's like,
So he runs home after joining the military academy or the military or whatever, and there's a beautiful young woman in the house.
Evangeline.
And he says, I'm home, Mum. And there's a beautiful young woman there, Evangeline. And she says, you're Wolf, right? Or Wolf Summer.
And he's all like,
Oh, he's got anime blush.
Yeah.
And his mum says, hi, this girl, she's a distant relative of mine called Evangeline.
you know I'm going to say it.
And of course, Nick coined the term
Drilf.
distant relative.
Oh, man, I'm so happy. I'm so... Like, the second this happened...
So strange to introduce this obvious budding love interest for Mittermeier
As
with
a distant relative. This is like...
What are you doing?
This is like going, oh, yeah, this is my second cousin. And you're like, I've never met a more beautiful woman
This episode
in my
we
life.
learn that both Mittermeier and Ruhenthal are intensely problematic.
But in the exact opposite ways.
Yes.
One loves women, the other hates women.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, do they go about it in different ways.
There are a series of wordless flashbacks of, Mittermeier coming home over the years, sitting in front of the fire with his family.
And Evangeline,
Yep.
the Drilf.
And crucially, one wordless flashback where, oh my god.
No, this one wasn't wordless.
No, it was.
What?
They are in a restaurant. They're in an evil
Oh, this
imperial
one,
restaurant.
yes.
And a bunch of double fascists walk in. They're wearing the same uniform as all the military, but they're wearing Are We the Baddies skull
Yeah,
caps.
they're more fascist than them.
Yeah.
Somehow.
And they are
they're picking a fight.
pushing around another recruit, in the same uniform as Mittermeier.
And Midnight comes over, he helps up the recruit, and that fascist piece of shit raises a big
It
vibrating
raises,
fist.
big vibrating, teleporting around fist.
He's like,
which is
I'm gonna get you.
off screen by Ruhenthal, Mr. Odd Eyes himself. And then wordlessly, they all start punching the secret cops.
And they're just like, they literally like,
They go back to back.
yeah, they smile, nod at each other, and then just sprint in and beat them all
Playing
down.
into the Gestapo,
The next shot is them
the
being...
SS or
Yeah,
whatever.
the next shot is them being reprimanded wordlessly by their superior as he's just like, you're wearing bandages, you've been scratched up, get out of my sight,
Yeah.
whatever. And then they go to the
and
bar.
they became best friends.
And they clink their glasses together.
And then a couple of years later, it's year 83. He is... Mittermeier is walking down the street,
And
and he just decides to start buying things he sees.
Well, we know why.
Yeah, he walks
but-
past a florist, and then an impulse seizes him, and he runs across the road. And I was about to joke to Nick, what if he just got hit by a car? But then genuinely, he has to stop and put his hands on the hoods of two cars that almost hit him.
And everyone's like, oh my god, what's wrong with that exceptionally fast gentleman?
He runs into the florist. He tries to push the pull door. And Tim Robinson pulls it all the way over. No, he doesn't. He just pushes it.
And he's all like, you, woman, give me your
all
flowers.
all of the most beautiful flowers. No, half of them.
I don't know anything. Which one are the most beautiful? And the woman looks behind, is like, those ones are, and just nods.
He ends up with a
enthusiastically.
bouquet of yellow roses, which of course Utena taught us symbolize friendship and betrayal, as they were associated with the character Nanami Kiryu.
Ah.
You remember Nanami?
Oh,
She's
I remember.
fucking insane.
Yeah, she had an egg.
Yeah, I rewatched the jury my ball scene the other day. It feels good.
Oh,
What
man.
an icon.
God.
They should put Nanami in more shows.
They should just put all of Utena's characters in more
They
shows.
should put,
More of the scenes where they're just like, so.
Okay, we gotta plot this out, Nick.
Yeah.
Which sides would the various Utena characters be on in Legend of Galactic Heroes?
Okay, when you say sides, do you mean Student Council, Black Rose Committee?
No, sorry. I mean, of the Utena characters, so we can say Student Council and Utena and Anthe
Yep.
and Akio.
Yep. Oh, Empire versus Alliance.
Yeah, where would they be plotted in the
Oh, well, Archeo is obviously going to be Empire.
Fazan Dominion, I would say.
Oh, really?
/ Earth Cult.
Ah.
Secret Mastermind.
Yeah, okay. And then where does Anthe sit then?
Oh, that's tricky. Anthe's tricky.
Anthe is the secret...
Oh, Anthe's gotta be Eyes Alone Fortress, because everyone wants control of her. Am I wrong?
That is fair. That is fair.
So Yang Wen Utena is obviously Yang Wen Li.
Of course. She's the everyman, bit sporty, but not too
Kiryu
sporty.
siblings are
Lowengrad and Kirk, guys.
and / also Sylph. But they occupy that triumvirate
Yeah.
the two of them.
Who's Kirk Eyes then?
Sionji.
Fuck. Was Sionji the one that just...
Green hair.
Yeah.
incel.
Fucking sucks. Who's gonna be Green Hill?
I mean, we don't need to map them one-to-one onto characters.
No, but who's the one that betrays
That's not
the
the
alliance?
exercise I was
Oh,
proposing.
okay, alright.
I mean, obviously Mickey, but...
It all started off so well.
yeah.
Mickey's sister is gonna be
we don't need...
Lynch.
We don't need characters. We're just
No.
doing political affiliation.
But just that we'll betray the Empire to go to the Alliance to betray the Alliance.
Yeah. And of course, Jury and Jury's girlfriend, we can
Alliance?
just put them in the Empire.
In the Empire, because they're rigid and rule-facing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that everyone? Wakaba is obviously...
Alliance.
Yeah,
clearly.
she's like, part of Utena's crew.
Yeah. Sexually free with Sionji at one point,
Oh,
which the Alliance is all for.
Very strange way to put that, but I know what you mean.
Yep. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that's pretty much everyone in that show, right?
Everyone that matters.
Toka Kiryu, we got him covered.
Yeah, I literally can't think of anyone else. There are probably so many more.
I mean, there's the Black Rose people, like Suwabuki and...
Well, I was going to say they're the Fazan, because they're like the
Black
offshoot.
Rose?
Yeah, because they're an offshoot plotting everything from the side.
Yeah, for sure. They're the Earth Cult.
Yeah, that ultimately may or may not pay off in any meaningful way. But we think they're great. Hence the Earth Cult.
I gotta rewatch that show. Anyway,
So Mittermeier...
that was the famous Utena bit.
So Mittermeier buys all these
He's
flowers.
running home with his big bouquet of yellow roses, and then he runs past a jeweler's.
And he's like...
Another thing I should buy.
And so he buys all this
Clown
stuff.
college, you can't give that to your distant relative.
I can damn well try. So runs back on home, and Evangeline is just in the garden. And
She looks up Wolf Summer.
and is all like, how are you this fine day? And Mittermeier is all like, please accept these gifts. And she's like,
Don't mind if I do.
She's like, thanks for
And
this.
then there's one more thing, and then we cut away so that he's saying it wordlessly, because we briefly cut to the perspective of his dad in the greenhouse nearby, who's shaking hands, cutting
Like a
an
rose or
offshoot
something.
of a plant, and he looks outside and he says, "What are you doing?
Get on with it.
Can't you get a hold of yourself?" And then, again, it's still wordless because it's really glass plain, but she says yes, obviously, and they hug, and then he in the bushes nearby is like, "Yes!
My
Yes!
boy.
He's marrying his distant relative, just like I always wanted."
So that's good, I guess. I mean, in the Empire's eyes, this is great. Securing the nobility or something. Getting married. And then they go to their wedding. And Ruenthal just out of nowhere appears.
And they're like, "Oh, he's so handsome." When he turns her head, he kisses her hand.
He walks up the aisle.
Yeah.
And then kisses her hand. And then just wordlessly leaves down the aisle.
6 years have passed since then. They don't have any children, but he's known for being a dedicated husband. On the other hand, Ruenthal is 31, and he hates women.
But for very different
So
reasons.
the narrator says, he's recognised for being calm and tenacious in private and at work. His intelligence and courage are almost equal to Reinhardt's. However, unlike his best friend, Mittermeier, he tends to be sour to women. And we get a shot of like a woman clearly in
After some relations.
Yep, where she's draped in the blanket. He is fully clothed and walking away, not looking back.
James Bond style.
unilaterally gathering affections, forming relationships, then abandoning. Only Mittermeier knows why. And we cut to, they were having a huge axe battle on a snow planet one year, and they're outnumbered, and it's like, oh no, we're gonna die. But then reinforcements arrive and they're saved, so they have a big night to celebrate together in the bar.
Because they didn't die.
I thought they were building up to he was gonna be gay, but apparently not. He's just apparently secretly a huge sodge.
I mean, Liam, you can't have that narrative in the 90s in Japan.
It just felt that way. It just felt they were gonna go that way to me.
Well, he clearly had sex with this lady before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe he's putting on a front.
That's
I
true.
don't know.
He's bearding it. Yeah.
They are so happy to be alive, they get super drunk, and he's like, my mother was awful, and so are all women.
She was a bitch who she married my father, who was a pathetic
A
nobleman.
lower class nobleman. But she came from the family of a count, but they frittered away their riches on their perversions.
She was 20 years old when she married my father.
Who was 40.
And they wanted all the money my father had.
And these two blue-eyed parents gave birth to a son with one black eye.
The rumors of my mother's lover spread.
A black-eyed lover.
And then, when I was born, she almost gouged out my eye.
So we get a scene, baby Ruenthal is in his mother's arms, and the maid walks in with his feeding bottle as she is holding up a big knife to his eyes. The maid screams, and he is obviously saved. The mother commits suicide shortly after.
Mm-hmm. Everyone just loves to kill
and then
themselves.
He spends the rest of his childhood with his father, getting drunk and repeating whenever he saw his face, "It's your fault she's dead. I wish you'd never been born."
And then he's all like, I hate women. They made my father hate me, and I now hate myself.
And then he falls asleep, and then the next day they're in the cafeteria, and he's like, "Hey, I said some stupid bullshit last night. Can we forget about that?"
And Minimi's all like, forget about what? And he's all like,
They're
very
truly best friends.
well. Yeah. And then they're just walking.
And they encounter the man from the
Fazan
Fazan
Dominion.
dossier, Hilmer von Schaft.
And he looks
He
very
looks
pleased with
like
himself
a
right now.
walrus.
He really does. He looks so fucking pleased with himself. He looks like he's ready to like take on the world because he's just like met a girl, and he's all like, guys.
Yep, he's the superhero Meta Girl.
And he's all like, guys, I did it. I transformed into Meta Girl, a Transformer-esque type robot, and I'm really excited to share it with the world.
Vroom vroom.
And so he vroom vrooms past them.
He's usually shut up in the science and technology division, they exposit. A Vulgarian who works for the sake of his own plans. Basically, he's got a big new plan to help them take Eyes Alone. And he first presents his plan to Reinhardt and Oberstein, and they're like, okay, so your plan is to use a fortress to stage attacks on Eyes Alone. But how are we going to build a fortress without them destroying the construction site, idiot?
Well, that's the beauty of his plan, because he says you don't need to build it out there.
Oh, he also invented Zephyr particles. So,
Directional
sure,
Zephyr
whatever.
particles.
We don't know what that means.
It means the Zephyr particles go that way.
Anyway.
That's what directional means. So he's all like, listen, I've got a great idea. You don't build it near Eyes Alone Fortress.
You attach a bunch of engines to Geiersberg Fortress and you drive it over to Eyes Alone.
Exactly. So all you got to do is you either build it back here where they don't see it.
Well, we've already got it, so we don't need
but
to build it.
we've already got it, so we'll just drive it on in.
Yeah. And they're like, interesting.
Tell me more.
Tell me more about driving this planet-sized fortress around.
And so we get to see an image of, here's Geiersberg Fortress. And they just slap on a bunch of warp drives on the back.
Yeah.
And they're like the size of a small nation
This is
each.
the thing that orcs do in Warhammer, right?
Yeah,
They just
yeah,
strap engines to meteors.
Yeah, and then that becomes their new ship.
Yeah.
Because, that's just how that works. And it does. It's great. So that's their plan.
He's truly a genius.
Yeah, he's like, listen, I don't think anyone could have thought about this the way I've thought about it.
Now, my initial idea was to strap a bunch of engines to planet Odin and drive it into planet Heinesen.
My initial plan was just, we surrender. But I don't know if that's going to fly with you. So how about we just strap some engines on the back and ram that shit in there?
Hell yeah. The Fazan are glad to hear it. But they're like, okay, for this to work, we also need to distract Yang Wen Li with some bullshit. So let's get plotting on that.
Because if Yang gets involved, the plan's going to fail immediately.
Reinhardt appoints a heap of jobbers to execute this plan. Kempf as commander, Mueller vice commander, and, some third guy.
Someone that I mean, he looks fine, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know who his name is,
And it's basically a bunch of
bunch of randos.
yeah. Oh, we did skip over this. There's been a few scenes in this episode.
A bar.
A bar where Mittermeier and Ruenthal have met to discuss politics, essentially.
Yep.
But the intro shot for the establishing shot for this bar scene, it's always this like weird holographic hawk projection, which is just in the room and is just flapping and leaving after images.
It's just like...
Hey, you guys want to go to the holographic hawk bar after work?
I don't know. I much prefer the holographic seal bar.
Yeah.
I like that song, Kiss from a Rose.
Yeah. It reminds me of Nanami Kiryu.
It reminds me of my mother, who hated me.
And I hated her. And all women.
Okay, maybe we should go to the hawk bar then.
Yeah. Anyway, and Ruenthal and Mittermeier and Bittenfeld are all there, as well as the new guy, Mueller, appointed to this job.
Yep.
They're talking shit about him basically in front of him, but he doesn't care. He's just happy to be included.
Yeah.
He's the youngest member of the Admiralty, really.
Yeah, he's like 20-something years old.
Yeah.
27 or something.
Basically, they think that Ruenthal and Mittenmeier weren't appointed to this job because Oberstein doesn't want anyone filling that number 2 slot that Kierkeis has left vacant in his dead because, you know, as he said earlier, he feels like Reinhardt needs to be distinctly above everyone and then treat all his subordinates equally.
Yeah, as you do.
Yeah. So, yeah, a bunch of jobbers are going to go get destroyed by Yang Wen-li, essentially, right?
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
They all take off in a grand parade, ship launching.
Reinhardt is on the bottom with his fucking cape flapping in the fucking wind.
Fraulein Hildegard von Mariendorf is like, hey, shouldn't we focus time and money and energy on internal politics right now? And he's like, no.
Don't get in my fucking way. Do you know how many friends they've killed of mine?
One.
All of them.
Oh, yeah, which is also one.
The only thing I have left is myself. She's more than a friend.
And she hates me now.
I hate her.
So all I've
and
got
all
left
women.
are these beautiful threads of Kierkeis's hair. I only eat one a day.
Do you know how many hairs were on that corpse? Not enough. Oh.
And he and Oberstein, Reinhardt and Oberstein, have a conversation considering what they'll do with the Kaiser. And they won't kill him yet.
Because he has some political value, supposedly.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they don't really go into this explicitly, but it's going to be problematic for him when the boy comes of age, right?
Yeah, because he'll be like, well
I'm in
power.
charge now. I'm the Kaiser.
And then Lone Ground will be like, well, I can't just kill him.
Oberstein, kill him.
Make it look like
Use your laser eyes.
Make it look like he looked in the mirror, but...
And lasered his own eyes out.
No, I have a better idea. Make it look like he was being lecherous on the grass.
Oh. Make him drink some of the poison drink that we all carry around.
Make it look like he drank his own piss.
Make it look like he killed himself, because everyone will believe that, because everyone loves to do it.
On this show, for some reason, everyone loves to just be like, well, there's only one option.
And now I die by my own hand.
It's just like...
Only I could defeat me.
It's just so unnecessary. Oh, fucking hell.
They take off, and new war starts now. Congratulations, Nick. Highlights and lowlights. Mine is obviously the wordless scene of Mittermeier and Ruenthal meeting and beating up some Gestapo and immediately becoming best friends.
Oh, fuck me. I want to say my highlight is Adrian Rubinsky being all like, so there's this mathematically minor shift in like, they give the numbers.
Yeah, there's like, the Fazan's influence in the galaxy increased like 4%. The alliances went down like 10%.
And then it's just like, and that means we can take over the whole universe. Yeah. And then it just turns to New Reich, and he's like, and then I take it. I was like, okay, you're really plotting well ahead here, buddy.
His consultant guy was like, I worked on this PowerPoint for 12 hours. All billable.
It's going to cost the Empire...
The Dominion.
It's going to cost the Dominion 1/1,000,000th of its GDP. But that's a good amount of GDP.
Yeah. You saw those slide transition animations. Star wipe, diamond dissolve,
you don't
typewriter sound.
You don't just click a button to have that happen. You need to set up when it happens. Mm-hmm. Like, what's the angle of the star wipe? Is it going that way? Is it going that way? You don't just come up with this.
Nick, how many sound effects do you use in your professional presentations?
So, unironically, we did have a team meeting where... at the end of every single director's presentation, there was an air horn sound. And we had, I think, 10 directors. So it was like, you have 2 minutes, and then you'll hear the alarm. And every time it was like, pew, 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 pew. So I want to say in our professional career, 0. But really,
It would have been funnier
Yeah.
if you had someone on the corner of the stage with a stopwatch and an air horn.
I don't think we're actually allowed to use an air horn in that building. I think it violates the noise levels.
Ah, the fire code.
Yeah, but then again, we do have many people in the office who are just insanely loud.
Yep.
Like every time they talk, I'm like, I can hear everything you're saying. Oh god.
My low light is obviously Mittermeier, Ruendahl's crazy, all women just want to take your riches rant.
Sure. My low light is Mittermeier married his distant relative?
Yeah.
How close is
Yeah,
that?
how distant are we talking?
Yeah, like is that Drilf just a
Kilf?
I was gonna say a Lilf, just a lady I'd like to fuck.
Yeah.
Because it's either Lilf or Rilf, all right? Drilf is just like a washing away of responsibility.
And I
term.
assume these acronyms make sense to everyone listening.
Of course, everyone knows Lilf is lady, Drilf is distant relative, and Rilf is just relative.
And I said Kilf, which was cousin.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like K.
Kaiser.
Yeah, Kaiser. Now, from here, henceforth, Lowengram is like, well, we don't want to just kill off the Kilf, okay?
No, we can't call him that, he's a kid. That's crossing the line.
That's the K. Anyway, so...
The old Kaiser.
The old Kaiser would have been the Kilf.
For the Sylph. The Kilf for the Sylph.
The Kilf for the... A Kilf for a Sylph for a Kilf.
Thank you, weirdly sexualizing people leprechaun. I will take this bargain.
I watched Leprechaun in Space the other day.
Oh, you didn't watch Lep in the Hood?
No, not yet, but it's on the list. And there's just an entire bit where the Leprechaun gets big, and he just goes on this.
Now, when you say he
rant.
gets big,
as in,
does he get normal people proportions, or does he just get larger?
He just gets larger. So he's now the size of like a multi-story building.
Oh, he's huge.
He's in like a space warehouse, but he still is just a leprechaun. And he's all like, oh my, the size of me. I'm whatever the fuck he says. But he won't shut up about it. And he's like, big things coming through. And then just hurls things.
Big things coming through. I'm throwing big things at you.
More or less. I mean, most of those films are just Warwick Davis being like, I'm not Irish, but I'm close enough. Tee-hee-hee. And we're like, Warwick, what the fuck are you talking about?
Great. Okay, those are our highlights and lowlights.
My highlight was the leprechaun.
Nick, our next 2 episodes are called One Narrow Thread and Lost Things. What do we think will happen next time on Legend of the Galactic Heroes?
I get the sense that the main reason we've introduced the drill.
So that she can die?
Exactly. Because I think Mittermeier right now is too, he's too upstanding to be part of the Empire. Right? Where it's like, he's a dedicated husband, he's a renowned war hero, but he's a great guy, you know? But if we were to take the themes of war and the degradation of all men in war as like a given, there's going to be some kind of inciting incident. Because Lowengrams has his, right? Ruenthal hates women, so he's already a piece of shit. And now Mittermeier, we need to turn him bad. Or maybe Mittermeier dies, leaving Ruenthal without a friend.
Ugh, now I've got to hang out with Bitterfeld.
Yeah, and he's all like, I too hate women.
Yeah, we know. Your vibes are all off, man.
But I guess main thing is just going to be, they're going to send everyone out to space right now, right? Empire's going to send everyone out to space.
They're doing this plot to destroy Yang Wenli once and for all.
To take Geiersberg Fortress out to Iserlohn Fortress. Yang's going to get distracted somehow, because they've got a man on the inside who had blonde hair or something.
Yeah, they sent some blonde guy over.
Yeah. So maybe it's just going to be the first episode is setting up, how's Yang going to get distracted?
Yeah. They're going to set up some sort of crisis that Yulian's going to be sent to, and then he's going to go save Yulian again.
Going to be something like that. I don't see Oberstein doing anything with his eyes yet. I know, disappointing.
I can't believe you betray me like this.
Look, I know, but nothing yet. But soon.
Alright, well, it's getting warm, so I'm going to cut it short.
Okay.
We're going to find out all of that and more next time on JoJo's World, the JoJo's World Galactic Tour Part 2.
Hell yeah.
And then I think after this tranche, this season, we will take a break from LOGH.
Yeah.
That's going to be 3 months down the line.
Oh boy. Summer is going to hit hard. Yeah.
Because I don't think we can justify doing the whole series in one go. It's too
that's
long.
fair.
We just want to do a little more.
We gotta do a bit more.
But until then, to be continued.